take one more shot at loading the beta client. I figured out what the problem with my microphone was. It consisted of my dog decided to lie down on the cords and unplug the microphone cord. This is the first thing you'll notice about the new, well, at least I will notice about the new client. I'm looking at Gideon now. I had chosen Garuk as my theme or wallpaper or desktop or whatever. They eliminated everybody but Garuk. The reason being they're trying to streamline this and they're eliminating anything that doesn't really affect gameplay. And so we have basically one theme now. I don't have a big problem with this. If it makes the thing work, that's wonderful. Of course, the problem I'm having, and I made a couple videos which have no sound because the microphone was off. But last night I loaded up the program, got to this stage, no problems. Then I clicked on collection, and wow, it actually loaded the collection. This is highly unusual. The last 6 times I've done this, I have not been able to load a deck. So then what I wanted to do was load a new deck, and it's working much better than it has in the past, which is great. So we're going to import from the desktop Junk Aristocrats. Now, do I get a deck? I get a deck. Now, here's some of the problems I have with the new editor. This, and man, this is great. It's much, much, much faster than it was earlier. I do have, of course, it's June 6th, and I have the brand new version. I have a couple cards I don't own. Sorin, so we'll remove that, and remove the Voice of Resurgences. Now, here's a problem. I own Overgrown Tombs. So we're going to search for Overgrown Tombs. Actually, I don't need the S. So it's going to search for a while. And of course it's locked up while it's doing this. Now this deck, the reason I chose this deck is because I loaded this deck into the other editor, the old client. And as you can see, it showed that I own all of this stuff except for the voices and the Sorins. I own the whole thing. Here it's telling me I don't own any of the dual lands, and it's locking up whenever I try and do a search. I did manage to get this entire deck loaded last night. Now it did take 20 minutes to load the collection and get me to the point where I could import the deck, and another basically 15 minutes to get rid of the cards that I already own, because it basically takes the first copy of Overgrown Tomb, the one that's standard legal, the Return to Ravnica copy, and doesn't import any other copies, even though, of course, the Magic Tournament rules in paper say you can play any version of a card as long as it has the same name. So I can play my 4 Godless Shrines from Guild Pact back in the old Ravnica block. I think it's Guild Pact. But the deck editor doesn't realize it. I have at least been able to search for them. But frequently when you search for something, especially if you mistype, like I put an S on Tombs, which is totally my fault, but it generally locks the deck editor up for about 2-3 minutes. And at the end of the 2-3 minutes, what do you got? You finally get an Overgrown Tomb pop out, and then you have to manually pull out the Overgrown Tombs that it tells you you have and pops others in. I had the same problem with Restoration Angels in another deck. It would only admit that the Restoration Angel promo versions existed, and wouldn't admit that any other versions existed, so I couldn't search for them even if I set the card filter to vintage. Anyway, I did this last night when I didn't have the microphone plugged in, or I should say Buster had unplugged the microphone, so I didn't get much of a video, but I went on and on with this. I shifted over everything. I found some young wolves and put them in, and kind of got the deck going. But, I stared at this screen a lot where the program is waiting to load. And considering that it is waiting to load so that I can search for cards I already own that should have been in the deck in the first place, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But unfortunately, this is where I'm at with this client. Playing drafts, works fine. The draft screen works fine. The build screen after drafts works pretty well. The game screen, you can play on it certainly. I have other preferences for some of this stuff. I would really wish that the phase of the turns bar was vertical rather than wasting the highly valuable horizontal space across the back. But that's life. The important thing, though, is that with drafts you can play drafts successfully. I've played several. Constructing decks, even with the new build, which supposedly fixed all these problems, it doesn't work. And I don't have, I have plenty of memory. I'm not sure why it's using this much CPU to resolve a simple search. And I don't have that much running. I have the folders that I store this stuff in, the capture software, and the picture that I showed you a minute ago. In fact, we'll get rid of the picture. But it's just... Anyway, that's about it. I'm going to quit here. I wish I could show you how well this thing worked, but sorry, Wizards, it does not work.